Hey YouTube, welcome back to Universe X, and as of yesterday, April 8th of 2025, we got the very first episode of Mobile Suit Gundam GQuuuuuuX, and because of that, I need to hop in here and do my episode 1 breakdown and review, and I will be going through the entire series. I am a little sick, but we could not wait for this video, and so I'm gonna muscle through it, and I hope you guys enjoy. So yeah, if you like this sort of content, make sure you like the video, and if you want to see more in the future, hit that subscribe button. If you want to go even further, you can always go in the description and join the $1 tier on my Patreon to further support the content. Thanks, and let's break down episode 1. So yeah, as I stated and a lot of other people stated before, we are in a alternative universal century. Does that make it alternative century? Hold up. But anywho, we are in this century where, or this timeline, where Char stole the Gundam and pretty much turn the tide in the 1-year war, causing Zeon to win, not the Federation. And we are on a ship that looks suspiciously like white base but green. If I'm missing something there, just please point that out in the comments. Like, just go down in the comments and point that out. But we are here, and they're talking kind of about just how the post-war setting is. There's some things they're doing, some checkpoints that they're enforcing, and one of the ensigns is like, yo, like, why do we even have to do this? And we hear Shalia Bull talk about how this is our duty as the victors, a necessary evil to maintain peace. I'm pretty much just talking about how they have to uphold appearances because they did win. Now, the first thing I'm going to talk about is this glow up, because holy crap, Shalia Bull looked nothing like this in the original Mobile Suit Gundam. Like, dude, look at this. Look at old Shalia Bull versus new Shalia Bull. They gave this man an undercut, hairstyling, gel, Ozempic, Super Riz. Like, this guy actually looks like a main character. Like, they picked him up and they said, sexify this man. And they just went off into it. So this is crazy, but he does look pretty suave. And then he also says that he can feel that it's the Red Gundam on the battlefield. They are apparently there, and he's getting these vibes, you know what I mean? He's getting these vibes. Shalia Bull is a new type. He was a new type in the original series, and there were kind of some slim pickings for prolific new types. So it's pretty cool that they are kind of giving him a bigger point, and we're going to get to that a little later in the episode. And by a little, I mean very, very little. But moving forward, we do have the main character, Amate, and she dreams about what life could be outside the colony. She talks about how gravity isn't even real here, how the water that they have here is nothing compared to the water of the real ocean. And it's pretty interesting. She has that like explorative, like just mindset, and she wants to know what life is like outside of, you know, Side 6. And she's chilling, doing her thing, when she's ran and crashed into by another new main character, Nyan. And Nyan crashes into her, accidentally breaks Amate's phone, and then speeds off. And yeah, that's a pretty crappy way to start a morning. So anywho, Amate realizes that there's something else in her bag now. I guess they just got dropped on her when there was the crash, and she goes into the bathroom and she checks it out. It looks like a hard drive. It looks like the SATA, but yeah, like it looks like a hard drive, and she starts looking at it. Now, this is where Amate starts showing that she is one of my favorite main characters I've seen in a long time. She has 300 plus IQ. She instantaneously takes this thing out, finds a serial code event, like she literally just finds it, and then she Googles it. She immediately Googles it. I'm like, man, she's not, what is this? She's not putting it under her bed for later. She's not going into a bad neighborhood to ask questions. No, she just Googled it. And the moment she Googles it, she finds out this hard drive is a Mobile Suit's battle computer install key. And she's like, oh man, so it's contraband. And I'm like, yes, this is so freaking smart. So yeah, moving on to the next scene, because we jump back and forth a lot in this episode. We now have Shalia revealing that his crew has been stationed there by Cassilia Zabi. And this is cool because now you know that, spoiler alert from like 40 years ago, in the main continuity, both Shalia Bull and Cassilia, they both died. They both died pretty bad deaths. And well, at least Cassilia did in the original Mobile Suit. So it's cool to see that they are here in a landscape where Zeon won the war. They're still both here. But Shalia Bull stated that him and his crew are there to investigate rumors that the Red Comet, aka Char, is still alive and just lurking out in space in the Red Gundam. Because apparently he has disappeared in a weird incident that we don't get a lot of information for in this video, or in this first episode. So yeah, they're out there looking for him because a lot of people apparently pose as Char because of the notoriety and I guess the thrill that comes along with it. So talking to Ensign Kamali, we found out that it's open knowledge that Char was the surviving son of Zeon Daikon, which is something that he kind of had as a close kept secret in the original Mobile Suit Gundam. It was his main driving force for him essentially murdering the entire Zabi family. And he wanted revenge, of course, because the Zabi family uprooted the Daikon family and then pretty much exterminated them so they can take a hold of the Zeon Empire. So it's open knowledge that he's the surviving son of Zeon Daikon, and then he actually just he was not only Shalia's friend, but he was Shalia's Mav, which is essentially your tactical partner, your two-man squad. You guys are both each other's Mavs. So yeah, that's pretty cool. But she also states that anything past that is a myth and she doesn't believe it, adding more mystery onto how Char disappeared. Because there's some part of it that might borderline on fantastical and people just are like, oh man, that's so crazy, or man, conspiracy, or man, I don't believe that. So that's pretty tight, But yeah, so they do note that what could be the Red Gundam is out there, and this is why they're talking about all this. Did it really happen? How are you feeling? Kind of nonsense. And they end up sorting the GQuuuuuuX, and that is how it's pronounced. There is no more like, I mean, we knew about this months ago, but like GQuuuuuuX, and it doesn't even look like that. I don't know how they got Quuuuuuux from six U's, but whatever. But they sorted it to combat the Red Gundam, and Shalia says that only GQuuuuuuX could see Red Gundam with the hands, because I guess you need a tier 0 suit to fight a tier 0 suit, which makes sense. But then they get pilot Exave. Now, hear me out. I know that phonetically this works, like especially if you were putting like a French spin on it. You got the Exa, they, because the ER generally is an A sound in French. I've just never run into a person who pronounces Xavier Exave. So if you have, let me know. Please let me know the error of my ways. But they put Exave in the GQuuuuuuX and they launch him. And he's already feeling kind of unsure. Like, this bro's like, I've never been in battle. I've only been in simulations. And Shalia's like, bro, you were at the top of your class, were you not? Plus, you're a new type. So stop complaining and get out there and potentially fight one of the most raw pilots that has ever existed in one of the strongest Gundam mobile suits that has ever existed. I don't know. I think Shalia was being a little too brazen because clearly, like, if he thought that this could be Char, they needed to be a little more tactical with it. But whatever, I guess Exave was their strongest pilot and GQuuuuuuX is obviously their strongest suit. So they also start talking, and they pretty much mention that the GQuuuuuuX operates using a special Psykamu called Omega, the Omega Psykamu. And something that I want to put out here, and just generally just kind of put that out into the air, is that it's interesting that it's called the Omega Psykamu, because generally the Omega connotation is the end in biblical terms, the end, the Alpha and the Omega. The Alpha is the beginning, the end is the Omega. And we've seen plenty of animes where they have put this in and they've kind of made something out of it. Look at Digimon. You have Alphamon and you have Omegamon, which is Omnimon, because they wanted to get rid of the Christian biblical references when they translated it. The point is, though, I would not be surprised if when we get the active villain in-game unit that's going to oppose GQuuuuuuX, I will not be surprised if it has like the Alpha Psykamu. And maybe it was a prototype of the Omega Psykamu that, you know, just like was irrational or unstable or, you know, something like that. We'll see. But anywho, we switch back to Amate. And Amate is, I think she's goated. I think she's honestly just super goated. She saw that there was a tracking device on the install key, and she noticed it, and it was something they flashed across the screen just for a little bit. They showed it, and then she put it back in the bag. But she actually took that tracking device and put it on a travel brochure. And we're gonna see that play out because you see that Nyan is tracking her. She's following her using the tracking device, and she ends up tackling her and then taking her backpack to a secluded location. But in reality, it was Amate that was tracking her. Amate knew there was a tracking device, knew somebody was going to come looking for it, so she did the bait and switch. She had the install key in her pocket or wherever she had it, but she had the brochure with the tracking device on her backpack. So she actually let herself get robbed and then followed Nyan to a secluded spot. This is already showing the levels of cunning that Amate has as a character, and it should not be like just like, you should not neglect that. That's they're showing you what kind of character she is, and then completely flipping the script on the who's hunting who kind of deal. She's just becoming my favorite MC. Like, I do like her a lot. I like her. She's like a little gremlin, but she's also very smart. And it's revealed that when they're talking about the install key, because she pretty much like traps her, and she's like, okay, so why do you want this? It's revealed that the install key is allowed so that used so that a civilian mobile suit can use weapons. It seems as if Zeon has been able to put a kind of like lock on whether or not a mobile suit can use weapons, and we get into a little bit of that a little later as well. But the install key should be able to negate that lock so that the civilian mobile suits can use weapons, and this is for clan battling, right? So there's another cool scene where Amate throws the install key into the air, and the way the animation goes, they focus on it. They focus on it going through the air. They focus on Neon trying to run to it, and right before Neon can catch it, Amate shoots in and she catches it herself. And this is really cool. That was misdirection. It's like putting the hand in front of the face before having the fist come out immediately afterwards. You know what I mean? Like, it's misdirection. Your full focus was on that install key, and in that time, Amate shot, closed the distance, and grabbed the key herself, showing that she actually has not just like mental smarts with, you know, Googling what's going on, with tricking Neon without knowing her, but she also has like this battle IQ. Like, she understands misdirection, and diversion, and she's actually pretty athletic too, because not only did she close the gap, she jumped and she landed on a mailbox, like just perched on a mailbox. Now, she does lose some points in aura because she immediately falls off the mailbox and lands clumsily into Nyan, which is sparking a gajillion things online because of Witch and the Bride and some other things. People are just like, oh, is this the relationship? But it's hard to tell. There might be a relationship with Nyan, but there might be a relationship with a character that we're going to see soon. I don't want to talk about them just in case you haven't seen the movie. However, this is actually just like a cute moment, but it shows that she can still be clumsy even though she's kind of a badass. Now, you really have this point where Nyan comes clean and she says that this is for clan battling, or clan bat. And Amate expresses her interest before demanding that Nyan pays her for her phone repairs because the screen is still broken, and that's something that makes her mad. So I dig this. I dig this. And then we're going to go back to the previous scene. So we're back at Ensign Exave, and he is wondering if the Gundam he's following really is the Red Gundam. He's like, man, like basically has his doubts. He's like, if this is the Red Gundam. So he fires a ceasefire flare, and the Red Gundam just deploys its bits. That sounds funny. Pause. Major pause. And then he just dips out of the line of sight. And this guy has a split second. He goes, okay, I guess I have no choice. And he activates the Omega Psykamu before he absolutely gets ducked on. Like, the moment he tries to lock in, his new type sense activates, and it gives him just a split second to let him know that he is not a main character and that he was in the wrong mobile suit. Like, it's like, bling, and he immediately starts getting like assaulted. Like, it did not give him that pre-warning, it gave him the mid, you're getting attacked warning. And but he is a new type, and that's cool too. I mean, as stated before. But the Red Gundam ends up firing on him, charging on him, clashing with his shield. The moment he clashed with the shield, he launches a knee that moves the shield aside and starts firing Vulcans at like point blank range. And at this point, I was thinking to myself, I was like, shee, this guy may actually be Char the way he was moving. Like, it looked clean. I could rewatch that scene every single day. It was beautiful. But that being said, Exave can't unlock the Psykamu, and he's getting frustrated. There's probably some deeper reason. I think it's because Xavier's cheeks. But the point is, he ends up having to tackle the Red Gundam because he could not throw sufficient hands. And that was actually just a pretty cool thing. But now it flashes back to Amate and Nyan. They end up going into the slums, and they end up delivering the install key. And when they deliver the install key, they kind of get chastised by a bunch of like people that they were supposed to deliver to. Like, why are you late? Like, why did you almost get caught? Why did you have the police on you? Who's this random girl? And it just kind of is a thing. But while this is happening, Amate shows great interest in Clanbat, and she wants to kind of like know more. She starts kind of asking like weird questions. Now, as this is happening, the Red Gundam and GQuuuuuuX burst through the side of the colony in their fight, because the tackle end up sending them crashing towards side 6, and they end up breaking through. And they're pretty much fighting. You have this really cool scene where the Red Gundam is struggling to get out of debris and kind of snapping power lines and stuff. And Exave is still getting dusted because he cannot use the Saikamu. Who's like, man, I'd be able to fight better if I could use Saikamu. Bro, I'm sorry, you are not the main character, so you're in the main character's Gundam. This isn't gonna work out. This is a Rusty from Gundam Seed type moment, and unfortunately, this is just not gonna end well for you. But the people that they were delivering the install key to are super shocked that both of them appear to be Gundam units. That's not normal. And I do like it getting back to the it's a Gundam type feel, like seeing a Gundam and realizing, oh no, this is wild. And so that's actually pretty cool. But luckily, Xavier does have some of that dog in him. Or I keep saying Xavier, Exave has some of that dog in him, okay? He doesn't just lie down and get destroyed. He actually grabs a bit and he swings it into another bit. That's something we've seen in the trailer. It was really, really cool. And this causes the Red Gundam shield to fly towards the main character and her new friend Nyan, but the Red Gundam comes over and stops his shield from landing on them before it's like GG's for real. And then Exave deploys a smoke screen because the MPs are coming to investigate, and he's like, oh, I can't get caught here. So yeah, once they realize that there's like some mobile suits, the MPs are like, well, better start destroying everything. Like, they start callously moving, crushing things, breaking into buildings, and then one even orders the other one to start peeling the tops off of buildings, because like only slum rats live here in the first place. So it's really gross. And then you have this like moment where one of the ladies, she states like, it stated like that even though Zeon won the war, the Space Noids will never be free, and that their suffering will always continue. And so even though Zeon won the war, apparently the people in the colonies are not treated well. And that's actually a huge, huge point. So there's going to be a lot of resentment, and it's probably going to cause people to rebel against Zeon later, and I'm excited to see where that goes. But Amate feels a lot of feelings about this. Like, you can tell she's conflicted. She starts to get a little angry, but you can't tell that until she starts to move with her actions. At first, just like she may be sad, but she tries to commandeer the Zaku that they were getting the key for. And it leads to this weird scene where he's in his Zaku because he was told by what seems to be his higher up to move the Zaku to hide it, and he's like, where am I supposed to hide this thing? But Amate gets in the cockpit, and she's definitely like being like, oh, okay, let me get in here and try to use it. And he's like, dude, what are you doing? And yeah, so she attempts to fight the MPs before one of the MPs just shot kicks her down a maintenance tunnel shaft, and it's just really funny. They also, when they attacked it, they looked at the Zaku's eye color and deemed it to be a threat. So apparently, I think, if I'm not mistaken, blue-eyed Zaku's don't have the ability to use weapons, whereas the red-eyed Zaku's do. And correct me if I'm wrong on that. I have to look back at the episode, but I think that's the case. Now they fall into the shaft, and before you see what happens to them, you see Exave basically hiding the GQuuuuuuX down there, and he's like, man, I hope they don't find me. Now, this guy looks like Ben 10 with a beauty mark. Like, look at him. That is Ben Tennyson. Like, that is literally Ben 10. But, like, I digress. They fall down there, and then the one of the MPs comes down there as well, and they see the GQuuuuuuX, and they're like, we should probably take that. That is not like a suit we've ever seen. But Amate sees the GQuuuuuuX as well, and is like, this looks stronger. So she gets out of the Zaku, runs along its arm, jumps. She's very athletic. This is a very fooly-cooly looking scene, and she jumps in there. She's got the Haru with her too. There is a Haru that she met when she went to deliver the key, and it's staying along with her now. So they get into the GQuuuuuuX, and the moment she gets inside, the Haru is like, oh yeah, unlocking, and it unlocks the drive that what's his name, that Ben 10 JK Exave could not unlock. And this causes the GQuuuuuuX to get up, and it gets up not like a robot but like a human. It's like it rises like a zombie almost. And the cool thing here is that when she activates the Omega Saikamu system, she is 100% controlling the Gundam via thoughts. And this is where the plot kind of sets in. Stereotypical Gundam. The new types are going to be able to control these Gundams with this super advanced psychometric system through thought alone, making their reactions faster, making their movements not robotic, and that's going to make it a whole different beast. So she ends up dodging the MP1 in a very like acrobatic way, like an aerial roll that normally you wouldn't get with controls. It's her natural movement. And after that, she ends up taking like out the heat axe, and she like just destroys this guy. Like, not kills him, but she does end it. Or maybe he is dead, who knows, but she does end that particular fight with the first MP. So very strong no diff. But then you have her running away from the second MP because she doesn't really like, she just beat him, but she's not really confident. She's still just acting on instinct in this suit, but the Psychomu is turning that instinct into control. So she runs away from MP2, she gets backed away in a corner towards the end of the airlock, and when he shoots at her, it actually disengages the airlock and she gets sucked into space, and Ben 10 / Xavier is like, oh no, and he runs. He like runs because he doesn't have a helmet on. Well, I guess he didn't put his helmet on. He doesn't want to get sucked out into space, which is real. Like, I'm not trying to get sucked out into space either. So he runs in and tries to just not be a part of that. So then you have the MP2 facing off against the GQuuuuuuX and Amate in space, right? And after they're in there, she kind of has like her new type flare. And after her new type flare, like the bring, she is in this weird trance state, and it's got all these rainbow colors, and they remind me of two things. This trance. It reminds me of the graffiti that we've seen once or twice in this episode with all the rainbow colors. That'll be explained a little later, and if you guys watch the movie, you know who's responsible for this graffiti. But it also reminds me of Char's counterattack when Amuro was pushing the meteor back, the colony meteor back, and the psycho frame like pretty much exploded, and had all these rainbows, and everybody's like minds were connected and their sentiments were melding. So this is very interesting. It looks like there is like the new type anomaly kind of going on, the Psychomu anomaly. But in there, she sees the red Gundam reaching towards her, and I wasn't sure if he was physically there, or if this was his mind reaching out to hers, or its mind reaching out to hers. And there's a lot going on here. I mean, just from promotional stuff, you guys should know who the pilot is if you haven't seen him in the episode. But this is a very cool moment. And after she sees that, she ends up saying to herself, I don't know why, but I think I've got this. So there's something that happened in this like trance-like state, this fever dream new type state. And she ends up just no diffing the MP2. Like, the MP2 looks like he can see both the red Gundam and GQuuuuuuX, and that makes it seem like, okay, well, maybe they are both here, because he's just like looking at him and he was like, are they Mavs? And then he ends up just going in. So it looks like the red Gundam, like after after they end up fighting, it's actually a really cool scene. She's going in, she swings around this like tether, she comes towards him, she ends up just completely dunking on him, and it's not even close. And it's one of those things where I think with the music and the animation, you guys need to go and look at the episode. It was just really cool. But afterwards, you see the red Gundam flying past Amate, and she's like, oh, and it's kind of looking at it, and then it even flies past Shalia Bull, who notes that it wasn't the captain, but acknowledges that it's still the red Gundam, and he's like, but then, and it just kind of cuts off. You don't really get to see his theory. And then the last shot of the episode shows Nyan sneaking away. She's like, there's a lot of stuff, there's police there already, they're investigating what the crap went on, and Nyan just kind of sneaks away in the background. So, yeah, as far as first episodes go, I think it was awesome. The animation was cool. It laid the hook with mystery. We have so many things that we want to know about, like the Zeknova. What is the Zeknova? How did Char disappear? Who is in the red Gundam? What is Shalia Bull's main goal? Because yes, he's there to find Char, but he seems to have ulterior motives that are more personal than that. What is Nyan trying to do? Why is she sneaking away instead of like trying to see where Amate is? Like, there's a lot of things that we have to cover that can be revealed as this series goes on. So I think that it laid a really good hook for plot, and it was visually appeasing. The music was good, the actual like animation for the fights are good, and these were just scuffles. These are the first sortie scuffles. Can't wait to see what goes on afterwards. And when we saw two people that know how to pilot suits fight, whoever the pilot of the Red Gundam is versus Exave, that looked amazing. That short little sequence was one massive gem. And so I'm super excited just to see how this game, or how this show is going to continue. Yeah, that's all I pretty much can say for now. I'm super excited. I give this first episode, honestly, I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. This is gonna be very, very funny, but I think that the first episode needs to set a premise. It needs to set a vibe that you're going to want to come back week after week, and I think this did. This did for me. I'm excited to see the next episode, and I will be back here next week to make a breakdown for that one too. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys like this sort of content. Like I said, like the video if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and as always, you can always support harder by hitting that $1 tier on the Patreon to help support the brand and its channel. And real quick before we end the video, I'm still working on the graphics and splash arts to honor the people that help support this brand even further. But for now, I just want to give some vocal shoutouts to the highest tiered members. That is the realm of Xers on my Patreon. So shoutouts to the Big Daddy Flapjacks, the BRs, the Brother Bears, the Bryce Rs, the Dallas S's, and the Danielle Ns of the world. Thank you guys for making this channel just even more I don't know, plausible. Like, you guys help support me in an extra way, and I appreciate that. Stay tuned, because soon it'll have a display for everybody that's in the Patreon. I want to make sure you guys get honored at the end of every video, and I will see you in the next one. Later.